Welcome to It All Boils Down to This, the podcast where father and son take the kitchen table arguments and heated discussions from their home directly to yours. Jim and Jack Boyle will explore the world as only they can. We might even let a few guests join the fun. So sit back, choose a side, watch the water temperature rise, and enjoy stimulating generational conversation about sports and life. Welcome to It All Boils Down to This, episode 54. I'm your host, Jim Boyle, and with me today, a guest is Jack Boyle. And as you can probably tell by now, we are in the studio, brand new studio here for us, Jack. Why don't you just give us your first impressions of what you see and before we even talk sports?
I mean, we could honestly, this is a whole different vibe now. It's like a TV show almost. I feel like, no, I'm not going to say his name, but I feel like I'm like on the Today Show or something. This is crazy. We could spend the whole show talking about this. The lighting, I can't even see how I look. I don't know how to sit. Like the camera's staring right at me. Honestly, I feel this is honestly, I'm rattled. I'm rattled right now.
How can you be rattled?
I mean,
by
you
this?
have to be
Not
rattled by this. I was like, we were in there where there was a table.
Right.
It felt like we were like Francesa in like the 80s. Like we were grinding. Now we got this set. It's like ABC. I keep crossing my leg. I don't know what's going on.
All right.
It's going to take some time.
Jack, it's going to take some time to get ready.
It's also like not like a type of studio where it's like, oh, we're going to talk about college football and tennis. It's like, this is like, I'm telling you, it's like the Today Show.
All right, so I guess that you don't want to be Matt Lauer, though, right?
If people have seen Parks and Rec.
Yes.
It's like that Pert Hapley. It's like that studio almost. Like it's like that type of thing. It reminds me of that. It's like we're in Pawnee.
All right, we're in Pawnee. Pert Hapley and Jim Boyle here today. That's awesome. Hey, so it's nice to be in the new studio. We've been in and out. We're doing a special Monday show because I am flying to Florida tomorrow. So we won't do our picks until Thursday. We're going to do a Zoom call Thursday and get everybody's picks in. But we just wanted to get acclimated with the studio today so we knew what we were doing next time we come in. This is also going to be the studio for my Wildcat Sports Update where I bring the senior captains in from Wilmington High School. So, but Jack, it was a tough game Friday night. What are you on?
Oh, I figured out why I'm rattled. It's the headphones.
Yep.
It's because I don't have the headphones on. That's why it's so different of like sound and everything. I'm rattled. I'm almost like nervous. The studio is intimidating. It's like I should be making if you have this type of studio, you should be making at least $1 million a year if you're doing like a show from this studio. That's awesome.
All right, so there's our goal. Our goal is to make $1 million a year. So all you sponsors out there who want to sponsor the Boyles, it all boils down to this. You can do that. Let's go right off the top. Major League Baseball. We'll talk about we'll preview it going in, but I have a couple questions about the Yankees and the Dodgers going forward. What do you got?
Well, so the plan was for this show. I'll say. Quick baseball. The plan for this show, we got to do NFL, we'll do college, we'll talk a little bit more about the studio and the ideas for the show going forward. And then the Thursday show is to be a preview for next weekend and talk about the World Series, which won't have started by then. And we'll also talk about the Celtics and all that on that podcast. But today I wanted to really stick to football in last weekend and all that. But I will say about the baseball, what I will say, I'm a guy who always I'm a blue blood guy. When it's college, I like seeing my ideal Final Four is like Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, North Carolina. When it was a couple years ago, remember it was that crap Final Four? It was that all those non-name schools.
FAU,
I like the big names. I like that type of stuff. So Dodgers, Yankees, I'm actually pretty excited for the World Series. But we'll talk more about it on Thursday, or at least I will.
Yeah, I'll talk about it now. It's the first time since 1981 they've played each other in the World Series. Not that the Yankees haven't been World Series since 2009, so now we're going to put up with that crap. But from 41 to 81, they played each other 11 times in the World Series, and they were in Brooklyn half the time, too. So you're right. It is the Blue Bloods. I cannot complain. Judge versus Ohtani, the crappy pitching staffs, the bullpens that are going to be spent. We get to play in nice weather and probably poor weather in New York. Two $300 million teams. So there's a lot going for it. I mean, we'll give our prediction. My prediction's already been made because I predicted the Dodgers and the Guardians in the World Series. You predicted the Cleveland, Detroit, and the Mets in the World Series. So you're already banged out of that on our picks, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, the two best teams made it, and the two best teams were two teams that I was hating against, and that's why I didn't pick them. But obviously everyone knew that this was going to be the World Series.
So that's like I said, we're going to do a quick. You get two shows this week. If I get this edited tomorrow, we'll get this up tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon or Wednesday, and then we'll do the Thursday show. Try to get that up on Friday for you. So we'll do a preview of everything, the preview of the weekend, so we'll make sure we do World Series and the Celtics because Banner Night's coming up as well. So let's take a step back. I want to start with the NFL because the NFL is kind of funky to me, and I just want to get some of your opinions. First, let's go to the Patriots and the Drake and go to England and get their asses kicked by our good friends from Jacksonville.
Gerard May. I mean, well, have you seen everything going on to Belichick and all that? Like, we'll talk about that. Gerard Mayo is a disaster, and everyone knows it. It's just how long till they fire him. He should get fired after that. Like, they should just cut because the quarterback looks good. Drake looks good, but they got to get rid of the coach. They can't waste 3 years. They can't waste that. Just right now, the only thing that matters with the Patriots is just how bad the coach is and just how he never should have gotten the job. And again, everyone agrees. I even think Mayo knows he's out of his depth. Kraft has to know. They got to get rid of him. Now, Belichick, if you saw his comments, he basically just trashed on Mayo. And he was like, we had the #1 run defense last year. It's like, well, Bill, like, I backed you, Bill. I said you shouldn't have got fired. You got the 3rd pick for a reason. Like, you had the #1 run defense. Who cares? He shouldn't be doing that. He really shouldn't be talking about it. But you know what? Mayo sucks.
Oh, I can tell you right now, he's going to talk about that all the time because he and Crafty Bob just aren't going to go along. He got fired. He got fired.
I get it.
He got fired, so he has a right. He got fired,
but
right?
He still probably shouldn't talk about the team like that, because everyone in the locker room saw that quote from Bill. Everyone. Most of the team played for him last year.
Yeah, except Judon's not there anymore.
Like he said, they're not a soft. They weren't a soft team for me. Basically, and they said I saw a report like Mayo was going behind Belichick's back last year. He was meeting with Kraft. So this is he doesn't like Mayo.
I will say #1, the fish rots from the head down. The Crafts are responsible for whatever happens in the next couple of years. Last year, Belichick had no offense. He sort of screwed up because he was pissed about the draft pick anyway. I don't think he wanted Mac Jones to begin with. I don't think he wanted to play him, so he made him look bad, if you want to call that. But then he got fired. Belichick has got a record behind him. Mayo does not. The only problem I have with something like this is, and you can disagree with me all you want, is it just doesn't make sense after 7 games or 6 games to fire your coach.
No. I'm not saying fire him right now. I'm saying he cannot be the coach next season, or else you're just wasting time.
So you believe in the Drake, then, I'm assuming. You're a Drake.
Yeah, I believe in the Drake,
believer.
But another thing is the Polk kid they drafted, he's done. He's toast. And so the guy, it's not just Mayo sucks. It's the who's it, Elliot Wolf and Jonathan Kraft making all this, like, what they suck too. So nothing's gonna change because Kraft. At the end of the day, I'm blaming Mayo on all this. It's a Kraft problem. And
correct.
I mean,
Kraft I totally agree with the Kraft problem.
Again, if Kraft doesn't stumble, somehow stumble with Belichick, and then Belichick stumbles into Brady, like, Kraft's just a useless owner. The Patriots are still a useless team if he doesn't stumble upon those two guys.
Well, again,
they are.
Again, listen. You know my distaste sometimes for the Krafts and the Patriots, but stumbling into and recognizing what they had is 2 different issues.
No, he got lucky with
if they recognize that they got this is Drake May as the next Tom Brady, if they recognize that, then are they smart or stupid, or they're lucky?
If Tom Brady's coach in 2000 was Gerard Mayo, like 2024 Gerard Mayo, Tom Brady's nothing. You don't even know who Tom Brady is.
Tom Brady would never made it on the field.
Well,
correct.
That's how bad Gerard Mayo is.
Even
if he was on the field, Gerard Mayo was so bad that it wouldn't have mattered.
Well, Gerard Mayo comes in as the defensive coach. That's what you get. They're getting smoked. Over under.
Defense is horrible.
I got over under 4.5. Right?
Well, yeah, you're right. You remember that? You're right. They're going way under that. I mean, they're horrible. They are horrible. And if the Bengals didn't brain fart, they'd have a chance to go 0-17. They're that bad. Because again, they have no talent really, and they have bad coaching. So like last year they had decent coaching,
no talent,
and they sucked. Now they have nothing, and they're just one of the worst. They're absurdly bad. I said that when I was watching the game. They're one of the worst football teams I think of the past decade. Like I don't underrate how bad they are. They're that bad.
I'm not underrating.
When you factor in coaching,
I'm not underrating.
You know what they remind me of? They remind me of the Jacksonville team with Urban Meyer.
Okay,
that's who they remind me of.
That makes sense. I agree with that. So it's going to be a long fall, but then they get the #1 pick. Maybe they pick up some.
The problem is
let me ask a question. You get like the #1 or 2 pick, right? Where do you go? You want to protect him with an offensive lineman. Your defense is absolutely terrible right now, right? Or do you pick up a wide receiver to make some weapons? Which way would you go? I mean, just off the top of your head, which way would you go?
You have an issue with the draft, and like the top of the draft doesn't work for you this year. And the other thing is, I saw someone tweet this. It's like the Patriots might have the #1 pick. It's like they need some of these quarterbacks in college to start playing better and rising their stock.
So they can.
If there was a huge number, if there was like a #1 quarterback this year, like if there was like a Caleb Williams coming out, the Patriots could get 3 first-round Like they could get a haul that remember what the Bears,
I agree with that.
Remember what the Bears got for the first when they traded. They could get that haul.
Everything, right.
That haul's not going to be there this year unless someone panics and thinks a Bryce Young type is that guy. But that you're not going to get that
Sanders.
haul. Yeah, stop.
How about
stop calling him Shooter?
Shooter. He's a shooter.
Okay.
How about the kid from? We'll talk about this later. Indiana's looking good. Somebody got hurt.
Well, yeah.
We'll go back to that. We'll get back to that. The other
that.
game that was of interest at the house yesterday was the Chiefs and the 49ers, a rematch of Super Bowl. I'll tell you something. I don't know if I'm a big fan of Shanahan as a coach. I mean, now I know they lost their two top receivers were out and McCaffrey's out, but they were in the game, and then all of a sudden they're not in the game. Like their second half performance is terrible. Not to take anything away from the Chiefs.
His quarterback threw 2 red zone interceptions. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, what are you going to do? So that's what I'll say about Shanahan. What do you know about Shanahan? You're not going to. He's a top 5 coach in the NFL. Like, what are you going to fire him?
Yeah, but what did Mahomes had 2 interceptions as well, though, right?
Okay, cool.
So they both threw 2 interceptions.
Yeah, well, and the
Chiefs
at the end of the day, like Mahomes, they both quarterbacks stunk in that game. Mahomes made plays. Everyone's all whining about that run and all, but he made a few plays.
Correct.
Purdy made none. So that was the difference there. And then the Chiefs defense a little bit better. The Chiefs defense, they're both great defenses. The Chiefs defense though is shaping up to really be an all-time defense. I was looking at their schedule, and I said this a couple weeks ago.
Tough schedule.
No,
you don't think it's tough?
The rest of it has been
tough schedule so far.
Insanely.
Okay.
I'm saying I looked at the rest of their schedule.
Gotcha.
They played Buffalo. They played a couple teams. There's 17-0 is on the table. Like it's not 0. It's not like 50%, but it's 15%, 10 to 15% right now. I'd say. Well,
they got a couple more tough ones. They got Buffalo coming up. I think right. That'll be a difficult one for them. And you're right, but you never know. They're not. Their offense isn't as dynamic as it could be, and they are limited with their wide receiver play.
I get that.
So I think they're going to win with their defense. I think that's the thing where they're going to put their hat on, and they've got Andy Reid, and that might help.
And they're running the hell out of the football, like more so than I've like Andy Reid's ever ran the football. So again, things are going well for them. Look, if Mahomes just gets his head out of his ass a little bit and doesn't forget not making plays. Like he hasn't made a ton of huge plays. Just stop turning the ball over, and they're going to win every game by double digits. They won't even be close. That game's not close if he doesn't turn the ball over.
Okay, so
and he normally doesn't.
He normally doesn't turn. Well, he's had a tough year though. You have to understand. He's been tough this year. It's been tough.
Correct, but I'm saying he normally when he struggles, it's normally him just struggling. It's not him turning the ball over. He's turned the ball over this year. Just stop turning the ball over.
I will give you that. I will give you that. The surprise of the game. What was the surprise of that game? That the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagle winning Super Bowl team backup got in the game. I was shocked. All of a sudden they said his name. I'm thinking, who the hell is that? And that's who it was.
My surprise of the game was a guy who got shot was on the field before McCaffrey. That's true.
I forgot about that. I forgot. Well, McCaffrey's really banged up because that's what happens. You get one good year out of him, and they get he doesn't play for 2 bad years. 49ers, they're 3-4 now, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah,
3-4. Whoa. But there's only one undefeated team left. That's that's our good friends from Kansas City. Minnesota got beat on the last-second field goal by Detroit. I have a question about the NFL before we go into college football. Is it parity, or are there just a lot of mediocre bad teams? I know what my philosophy on this is, but what do you see? And I'll follow up.
It's both. What do you mean parity? What does
parity
that mean?
Meaning parity?
No, I know what parity means. I just don't get
is it mediocre football?
Yeah, no.
Or is that because of the parity? Because the football is just mediocre. That's what I'm saying.
I think. I don't know what that. I just don't
parity
know what
means
that
everybody's the same.
I understand parity, but
I'm saying
I know what parity means. What you're
saying.
I'm saying
that what happens is okay. Let me rephrase the question then for you in your terms.
No, I know what
not
you're
so much
saying.
Parity. Not
no
so much
sense,
parity.
though.
Not so much parity.
I don't think so.
There's not. Is the league mediocre? Yes or no?
No, I don't think it. No, I think the football looks bad because the league isn't mediocre. If that makes any sense. I think these guys, you see, guys are making plays. Guys are fast. The defensive players are so damn fast that
right.
I think that's part of the. If you ask Jay Trev, who watches football probably differently than us, and guys who watch the all 11, all 20, whatever it is, all 22 film and stuff like that, I bet you they're saying there's a lot of good schemes in football and how hard it is to score on defense and stuff like that. I bet you he'd come in and say that. So I don't think that's the reason. I think there's so much. I think players are so talented that that's what makes it look bad.
I understand that point, but everybody's talented except for I think the quarterback position.
No, I think they're talented.
You think that's a talent spot? I don't think
so. That's a question we'll have to ask Jay Trev.
Okay, I agree. We'll have to ask him. I just think the league sucks. I think that you're right a little bit about defense, and they're right about now everybody's playing the two high safeties and forcing everybody to run the football and taking the deep ball away. I understand what they're doing there. I'm just saying, as I watch these games, if I sit there, it's like I'm wasting my time watching. It's just to me, it's sometimes so much of a crap programming, and it's life. I mean, even the 49er Chiefs game was a nice football game, but it got crappy towards the end as the teams got sloppy and all. But again, Chiefs have a great opportunity to be the first team to win 3 straight Super Bowls. I haven't really paid enough attention to the other side of the bracket, and even there, the Vikings and Detroit played a great game. But I don't know who else could come out of there that can beat them. I think their biggest challenge is going to be Buffalo and the Ravens. But that's just how I look at it. So I think mediocre is probably a better word for. There's all these teams that are going to be 500. And is that parity because everybody's 500? Is that because everybody's so good, or is it because they're just very average football teams with average coaching? They bring in these young minds. I'm just frustrated by what I'm seeing on the field.
That's fine.
Fine with you? You agree with me?
I'm fine. Yeah.
You're not going to agree with me on that.
All right. There's good college football. College football is better.
That's the college football is much better. That's the NFL.
What do you got for the game?
Hold on. One thing. We're doing Monday night. Doing this on Monday, so there's 2 Monday night games, so no Mannings tonight, I would assume.
There is Mannings. They got like Ed Reed and Joe Flacco on, I saw.
Ed Reed and Joe Flacco? God almighty. God, that's because Bill's coming on. They want to aggravate Bill.
Oh, yeah. Bill, obviously.
Don't forget Bill. Yeah. Okay, college football. A lot happened in college football this weekend. Just a recap, you did lose your pick, and I'll talk about the game later. First game we have to talk about is the SEC eating itself again, Georgia and Texas. And I tell you something, I picked Georgia with taking the points, and I won outright anyway. But I'll tell you something, Georgia's defense was fast. Georgia's defense was everywhere. They shut down the running game. Ewers only got into a rhythm maybe once or twice, and Georgia's continued to pound them. I love those Georgia linebackers, and Georgia might be the best team in the country.
Yeah, Georgia's front seven's phenomenal. You love their linebackers. Those linebackers are going to go to the NFL and be phenomenal NFL players and make it hard for the quarterbacks to make plays in the NFL. So you help me with that point. But that game was great, and the big takeaway from that game for me, Georgia's obviously going to win the national championship. They're going to just steamroll everyone now. They got disrespected a little bit. I disrespected them. They're just the most talented team. He's the best coach.
But
the beer cans was awesome.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome. I mean, that was awesome.
The beer cans were awesome.
The beer cans was the best part of that game.
It was water bottles, not beer cans.
Okay, the water bottles and the beer. Yeah, well, someone said beer. If beer cans Sarkeesian wouldn't. Not to make a joke. The beer cans, they legitimately got the call overturned. So it will be interesting to see going forward if we see more of that. Because that's bad for college football. Kids are throwing stuff on the
right
field.
Now, the thing about Georgia, I like I said, defensively, I really like them. The coach, I like the coach. I'm not sold that Carson Beck can win the big game.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
I am not sold that he can. It doesn't matter.
Really, honestly, college football, Dad, you know who won the big game last year? J.J. effing McCarthy.
Well, J.J. McCarthy.
Chris says he's got Kevin O'Connor as his coach. Chris says he's going to be freaking Dan Marino now because he's got Kevin O'Connell.
Okay. Well,
no, we got to get Kevin and Chris in here. I'm pointing at the couch because I was thinking. All I can think.
Jack's pointing to the couch. There's no one here.
All I could think about is Kevin and Chris. All I could think about is Kevin and Chris just yelling about J.J. McCarthy and then it getting into a Mikel Arteta debate.
That would be awesome.
No, that's what that couch is going to be for.
That's what you see here. And you know what? We'll say, as you can see, that they are not here with us today. But again, that's the new studio. Jack, back to the college football. Alabama. First time they've had 2 losses before November since Saban's first year. And I want to get your opinion on this, but because I do know what Saban did say. What do you got?
Well, I think I said it on this podcast, but it's just welcome to Manchester United, Alabama. That's where you're at. That's what it's going to be. You're probably going to go through a tough period where you're going to lose 3-4 games a year for a couple of years, maybe 10 years, just like how, you lost probably the best coach in the history of the sport, just like Man United did. You're going to struggle. It's going to happen. The expectations are high. They're useless. It's almost at the point where we're not even going to talk about Alabama the rest of the year. Like, they still kind of have a chance of making the playoff and all that. Have a chance. But, they're kind of not even worth talking about because they're not a good football team. They're just not. So they're
a 2-loss team before November. Saban comes out, and he does make the point that they had 30 to 60 guys transfer from his program out. Galen DeBoer came in late and had to build his package a little bit differently. He said, I give Saban a lot of credit comes out and says you got to give it time. 1 year is, I mean, they only do have 2 losses. It's not like they're 1-7. They have 2 losses, so got to give them time. I don't know if they have the strength on the offensive and defensive lines in the interior like they normally do now. Maybe that's because of the transfer portal. Who knows? They do have some dynamic skill position players, both on both sides of the ball, in the secondary and on the wide receiver and the quarterback side. So we'll give them time. We'll go back to that because I want to talk about the conferences and who's going to make the tournament.
You can talk about 30 to 60 guys transferring.
It happens to Temple all the time.
You can say that, no, but you lost to Vanderbilt. You got
That's true.
dominated by Vanderbilt.
But then Notre Dame lost to NIU, for Christ's sake. They haven't lost since.
What do I think? I think you think like I don't.
You remember
I
that
don't
one.
act like Miami's not Notre Dame's like 2000 Miami.
They're not, but they're pretty good. Okay, your bet was Nebraska plus the points versus Indiana. You lost that by like 42 points. Disappointed is not the word for it for Jack. It was just devastating, I think, as we watched the game, and we're both Matt Rule guys, and just I feel bad for that team, but Indiana just shocked the hell out of me. Shocked the hell out of me. Shocked the world.
That game's everything because that's they're not good. They're just not good. Nebraska, they're a lot worse than I thought. They're horrible. They're actually a bad football team. Like I just went from everything. They're a bad football team. Matt Rule should be kind of embarrassed by that game. That's an embarrassing game. They lost by 50. They literally lost by 50. Indiana's a great football team. It'll be interesting.
Backup quarterback too, right?
Well, yeah, in the second half.
Look, right?
Again, you could have played quarterback for Indiana, and like there were guys that there were people not even within 10 yards of them. Like people weren't even getting touched. I mean, Nebraska has no talent like anywhere. Even the quarterback was horrible. Raiola's been horrible the past couple games. I saw Mahomes when he was throwing these interceptions versus the Niners. You see on Twitter, it goes Mahomes this year. It's a video of Raiola. So it's all mean. It's just really bad, Nebraska. That's a humiliating loss. You can't even.
I think you're gonna.
It's hard to put into words just how embarrassing that is.
I think you're gonna get that though.
No, you're not.
I think you're gonna get that with a freshman quarterback. I think.
No.
I think you're gonna get that. I think you're gonna get that. I think you're gonna get that.
They could have Tom Brady play. They would have lost that game.
Well,
if Nebraska had Tom Brady, forget that. If Nebraska had Patrick Mahomes right now, they would have lost that football game. I'm being 100% serious. They would have lost that football game. It wasn't even close.
So Indiana's for real, then you're telling me?
Indiana's very good. They got all those transfers from JMU. They got that coach who, what an eccentric human he is.
He's very eccentric.
He's what Mike Gundy wants to be.
He's my age, right?
I like the guy.
He's my age with the dyeing the hair and everything. Maybe I should go with black.
Jump. He might leave Indiana. Like he might go from like JMU to Indiana and jump like real quick to like
he could
Alabama.
I want to be sure he's not. First of all, he's not going to Alabama. Get that out of your.
You know who's going to Alabama?
Yeah,
and we should talk about this team.
Kalen DeBoer is going to Alabama. Don't give me
Dabo.
that. Dabo's going to Alabama. Dabo couldn't live it. He wouldn't survive in Alabama for a week. Yes, but okay. Final is my Temple Owls did finally come up with their second win.
Way more games. You could the Owls. That was a good win.
It was a good win. Evan Simon is back at quarterback. We probably should have won the 2 games that he didn't play, but our coach is sometimes an idiot. Like I said to you, I love to talk about the Owls, but I don't see what they were watching in preseason camp. The 3 quarterbacks that I've seen play, he is far and away the best one they have, and he got hurt before the UConn game 2 weeks ago. They got another must-win. They could win ECU this weekend. East Carolina just fired their coach. So Mike Houston got fired there.
East Carolina, because I've now followed this account online. It's this message board account. East Carolina, their message boards, they want to hire Nick Saban.
Yeah, you told me that last night. That's
Carolina.
I just want to go through the conferences because we're talking college football.
Oklahoma?
Oh, my God.
So Oklahoma and USC, it's just funny. It's because USC has Oklahoma's coach, and they both got to go, like I said. I think Lincoln Riley should just go back to Oklahoma and Venables should go back to Clemson. But those 2 teams are embarrassing. Colin Cowherd's embarrassing. Colin Cowherd talked all that shit at halftime in that Penn State game, and it's been 6 quarters of hell since then. And he's kind of just like shied away from it and not taking it on the chin. Like, you've been talking all this crap, Mr. West Coast California Colin Cowherd, dude. We got Lincoln Riley's going to come, and it's not going to be a problem for him in the Big Ten. He's been getting dominated.
But remember, what's the big difference between this year and last year? They're not in the Pac-10 anymore playing the Pac-10, and they're not in the Big 12 anymore.
Dude,
they're just not. They're playing against real players.
Thank you, but that was...
Why was Colin Cowherd bitching about it?
That was his whole point was that there's going to be no issue when they go into the Big Ten.
He's wrong.
Yes,
obviously
correct.
He's wrong, right?
Correct.
And it shows like UCLA not doing well. Although it's weird because Oregon is dominating the conference. They beat Ohio State. So maybe these teams just aren't that good. Oklahoma maybe is just not that good, right? They're just, it's not the Venerables, it's not the coaches' fault. Maybe their talent level isn't up to the snuff to play. Oregon definitely is up to snuff to play. Texas is definitely up to snuff to play. So I like the fact that they don't understand they did switch. They just weren't ready with the talent to switch.
I'm just aggravated that Cowherd is not facing the music for that horrible take.
Cowherd never faces any music.
When in the middle of the Penn State game, he acted like he won the take. So Colin lost.
Yeah, that's true.
Where Colin was right. Where Colin was wrong. No, that's the segment on his show.
Okay. He's wrong 95% of the time. Okay. I just want to real quickly.
I like Colin. I love him. Colin's a good guy.
Real quickly. See, nobody's here yet. I'm just showing everybody that's our group.
I invite Colin to come on the couch.
Colin's coming on the couch.
You think he'll come?
You know,
he's the guy who makes him over $1 million a year. He's got one. He
come on the couch. So
Colin Cowherd, you're invited to come on the couch and talk about it.
So it all boils down to this. We'll invite people to the couch. You don't have to come if you don't want to, but it's a great couch. We got 2 mics for you so we can get 2 people on. Chris and Kevin will be our first person. I just have this
idea about this couch where you lay down, you close your eyes, and you get asked trivia questions.
Well, that would be
all I got. I just get this idea.
Tommy T.
Anyone, we'll cater to anyone. You got like if Kevin comes in, we'll cater him. We'll give him some trivia on
Xavier
on finance.
I won't even go with finance. We'll give him some trivia about.
If Ingram comes in, we'll give him some athletic director trivia.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, I've just lost my train of thought, but we're past halfway through this college season. We're not making our predictions for anything, but. I'm still going to go with we talked about 3 SEC and 3 Big Ten schools and maybe even 4, right in the final 12. Do you think Indiana has a chance to make the tournament?
Obviously, they just gotta. I don't know what their schedule looks like. We'll talk about all that on the Thursday show. I'll look at their schedule and all that. But yeah, obviously Indiana.
Okay, I want you to look at Indiana.
They're undefeated.
Look at Indiana.
They're undefeated in
true.
Week 8. It's a 12-team playoff, and you're going. Do they have a chance to make the playoff?
Well, what if they lose the next 4 games? They went 6-0 last year, and they're shit the bed.
100%. But they're 100%. Even if it was a 4-team playoff, Dad.
Yep.
Even if it were a 2-team playoff, they'd be in a position to make it. Because if they won out and won the Big Ten, and it were a 2-team playoff, they'd make it.
Okay, who's going to win the Big Ten? Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State.
I think at the end of it, I don't like that Penn State. Penn State has them at home. Ohio State coming up. I don't like it at 12 o'clock. If it were at 8 o'clock,
night game in the Whiteout.
If it were at 8 o'clock, I'd take Penn State, and I think they would win the Big Ten. I think
that at a neutral field they could win.
At Big Ten, I think they beat Ohio State at a night game, and then they'd probably beat Oregon or Indiana or whoever they have to beat. I think Ohio State wins the Big Ten. I think the coach is an idiot still, but I think Ohio State wins it.
Ryan. I'm going to stick with Oregon and Dan Lanning winning the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm. I think if they win the Big Ten, if they play Ohio State again, I don't think they'll beat them.
Yeah, you might be right.
So we'll see.
They might not have to play Ohio State again. And then the SEC, you're going with Georgia all the way. You don't think Texas has a shot at them if they play again in the tournament? The SEC championship?
They do have a shot, but I just saw that Georgia team just look like they're not going to lose anymore.
All right, and
just look like they're sick of losing.
Then they go to the two more minor conferences. You got the ACC now. Just one thing that just sticks out in my mind: SMU played in the American last year, right? They're like undefeated in the ACC, which is just a stunner. I mean, I talk about level of talent, level differences. The ACC to the American should be like this, but they've come in now. They have a lot of money, and they've come in and they've been successful. Whereas like Stanford and Cal have come in and haven't been as successful as it could be. Who do you think, Miami or Clemson?
I like Clemson, and I think it just keeps going the way it is. Miami, Clemson, because they don't play each other. That'll be a great game in the conference. That's a conference championship game for a bye. Game. That's a great game.
And I think
they're both pretty good teams.
I think Miami doesn't know how to win like Clemson does, and so I worry if they really played I'll call it the schedule that would toughen them up. But I still like Miami because of the physical ability, their physical attributes they have on both sides of the ball.
Clemson, they lost to Georgia. Clemson's
really good.
Clemson's good. Clemson is good. People, I think,
Clemson's
like Dabo's become a very underrated coach. Where he's still he's still one of the best coaches in the country. He is.
I'm not going to disagree with you. I just don't like his methods sometimes. He's a holier than thou guy.
I
don't like the holier than thou guy. I just don't like the holier than thou guy.
Kelly, people are two very underrated coaches that are just so hateable, and everyone hates them. That they probably just don't get the credit that they deserve.
Those are two teams that one team is LSU gets no mention at all, right? And then Texas A&M is another one. Both lost early, right? They lost early in the season.
I think that's why the SEC... Aren't they playing each other? Is it this week, next weekend? So, yeah.
Yeah, they do. I'm just saying, that's what you have in the SEC. I look at these teams, and I see the SEC, I think, is a level above the Big Ten as well.
And the 12-team playoff makes
it makes sense
makes a lot more... It makes a lot of games at this stage in the season, better.
Right. And
like that LSU Texas A&M game, who cares about that a couple years ago? You know what I mean? Like, now it's that's an elimination game.
I'm actually glad that they're doing 12 this year. Is a good year to do. The Big 12, which I think is one of the more crappy conferences in the world.
About the Big 12.
Do you know who's leading the Big 12 undefeated?
I don't know.
BYU.
Oh, yeah, they're pretty good.
Not a bad team. BYU, I think. Ohio State's undefeated. They come back and beat Central Florida on a fluky play. And then I had Kansas State's also in the top 25. I think one team makes the Big 12 if they're lucky. I don't think the Big 12 gets an at-large bid. I think that it gets taken by an SEC team and an ACC team. So that's how I would look at that. Finally, I just want to shout out the service academies because they kicked the crap out of Temple twice this year, each team. Army and Navy are undefeated going into this week. Navy, I think, has Navy's got Notre Dame on a neutral field somewhere. Who knows where they're playing that game? And Army is going to get Notre Dame later in the year. You made a great point about the Army-Navy game. What do you think? What do you think you do if both teams are undefeated or in the American and they play in the American Conference Championship game, and then the next week they have to play in the Army-Navy game? Does that make sense?
No, they got to do something about that. If they don't cancel the American, if that's the case, and they don't cancel the American Championship, they're doing something wrong.
Okay. They are. I saw the funny part is
because that Army-Navy game.
I really agree with you.
That Army-Navy game, cancel the ACC Championship game. And wherever they have where's it played this year?
Philly, I think it's Philly this year.
You do everything like normal, and it would be the best Army-Navy game since 1950.
Now I totally agree with you.
Like it would literally be first spot in the playoff. Definitely would be. Army-Navy, everyone. It
would be unbelievable.
It's the standalone game every year. Not everyone watches it. Everyone would watch that game.
Yeah, I think that's true. The only problem is you've got Tulane and Memphis are also competing, so you never one loss to a team they go out.
That's
but
fine.
I think I like the idea. I don't think they'd ever do it.
Obviously they won't, but it's so stupid if they play and then
it'd be neat if they would do it, right? The other at-large teams that can make it, well, one of them has to make it. One of either the American or the Mountain West. And our friend out there at
Boise State.
Boise State is Donovan. What do you?
Yeah, I'll go with him. Boise State. I don't care about the at-large. I care about, like I said,
they get the fifth. They get the fifth. Cool. They get the fifth pick.
Good for them. Yeah, Genty's good. He'll win the Heisman.
You think, there's the prediction. Jack's take. Genty's going to win. That's not like that rocket science with Hunter getting hurt a couple times. I still think Hunter could edge him out later in the year because that team hasn't really played that bad.
He won't stay healthy enough. He's not going to be fit.
Well, he plays both ways. That's what's going to happen.
Okay, that's... Yeah.
Recapping the picks from last week because it was a very interesting week.
Went over. You guys, everyone won, but
everyone but
Kevin
Jack.
Tied.
No, Kevin tied.
We'll talk about picks. We got
to talk about Kevin. He finally pushed.
We'll do all the picks on Thursday. That's what Thursday's for.
That's what Thursday's for?
Yeah.
All right, good. I like that. So Thursday, everybody gets to look forward to stuff. What are we going to do Thursday? Then why don't you tell me so I don't have to write up another thing.
Chris did win Georgia. We did talk about that. That was a big game. So Chris, good for Chris. He did pick Georgia.
I picked Georgia.
Oh, you picked Georgia? I thought Chris did.
Chris had UNLV -7. They won by 8.
Good pick with Georgia then. I was wrong.
So yeah, Georgia was the best pick of the night. So Kevin has not won.
We'll talk about Kevin. We'll talk about Kevin. He'll call in. He'll talk about his pick. We'll talk about all Kevin on Thursday.
Is Kevin going to be going to Zoom?
Oh yeah, we'll figure something out with Kevin. We'll talk about all his gambling on Thursday because he had a funny little update. He's out of the race. Chris is now half a game above me and half a game behind you, and it's only S3. But Kevin's got funny result.
So what we're going to have to do with Chris is he had suggested this to me too. One week he'll take 2 picks.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we'll do 2 picks. There's a couple really nice games coming up this week as well. So
I would like for Chris to lock in though, like within the next 48 hours. I would like for him to pick I don't want him to just wait until he sees 2 games he likes. I want him right now. He has to pick the week he's doing it.
You know what I mean? We don't have to do that.
He can't just every week.
We don't have to do that.
What are you talking about? We don't have to double.
The double pick. Okay,
I got the
second pick
when it's happening right now.
Second pick.
Because he can't just every week be like, "Ooh, I like both these games." I want to know. You can't just each week be like, "Ooh,
I got you." I
want to know right now.
That makes
sense. You get 48 hours. You got to tell me what week you're doing your double pick. Just do it this weekend. Makes it easy.
I'll text him when I get home and have him do that for me. So that's we're gonna go when we come back on Thursday on a Zoom call.
Send it to him.
When we come back on Thursday Zoom call, I'll be in Florida. For a couple more days, Jack will be back here.
I don't know if you're going to lay down on this.
You can't. I don't. Listen, we're not going to try Jack. Please, dear God.
I know what I got for next episode.
It'll screw up the. It'll screw up the whole set if you hit your.
We need one of those Avid movie posters of our logo there.
Yes. Okay.
I'm going to bring. I'll probably I'll save it, but I get something for next time.
So there, okay. Well, I brought in the hats, or I had down in front here. It all boils down to his mugs. So if you have any other suggestions for us, I think we should have a big fat head of you right up there. That'd be funny. That would be my idea of fun.
No, that's not all. You see me already.
Any other ideas? Any other things with the studio? You like the studio?
Nice. Wow. I got more comfortable as the episode went on, but yeah.
It's not that intimidating.
Can we just put the camera on me and I can sit at like the control table there?
No.
Why not?
Because the lighting's not
I'll be
there.
like,
no, Jack. See how the lighting here
again. Like I said, lighting. You're talking about lighting. Like we're going on ABC or something.
Well, this is what we're trying to do at the studio
with 15 viewers. Like
we're trying to do 50. We had 33 this week.
Point the camera at me over there, and we're not gonna move. We're not gonna move the cameras. But if you point the camera over me there,
why do you want to sit there?
I won't look that dark because I'll have a chair and like sitting on a desk and.
Jack, we'll get you one of those coffee table thing, not called a TV table tray.
A coffee table, a book.
Coffee table. We have a coffee table right here.
No. It's a coffee table. It's a book about coffee table book about coffee tables, and it turns into a coffee table.
We'll have to do a Seinfeld sports episode at some point too, if we ever get the time.
Jerry Seinfeld, tough go. The Mets lost.
Yes, he did.
Get him next year, but Costanza back in the World Series, rooting against you.
Costanza in the World Series. Also, then the next program we do, we'll look forward, not backwards. So we get MLB. I want you to come prepared because I'm going to have a ton of questions about the Dodgers and all the fun things that happen with them.
We'll talk about
a lot of pitching stuff too.
We'll do an exception. We'll talk about the MLB. It's the World Series. We'll talk about it. It's a blue blood World Series. It's not some no-name Kansas City Royals World Series.
I don't know why Kansas City's not a blue blood.
I don't know. I just remember Kansas City Royals.
Two World Series.
That's why I pointed them out. I just remember Ned Yost bunting all the time. Like,
yeah, that's true. That's true. So we'll do that.
That guy was a loser. Remember when he picked what's his name? I like Brock Holt and all. Brock Holt being an all-star over Xander that year. Yeah,
I remember
Ned Yost.
We were not happy in the Boyle household when Xander got screwed. Now Xander's not in the World Series. Mookie is. It'll be fun. Do you know what? The only thing I want to say about the World Series, that this is the Heimblum World Series.
Yeah, Verdugo versus
Betts. It's Verdugo for the Yankees. And Betts is playing for the Dodgers.
We're an embarrassment.
That is bad.
I also went on that Yankee rant too, like a couple weeks ago. And if they win the World, like I don't know what I'll do. I hate the Red Sox right now. I will hate them so much more if the Yankees win the World Series. Like I will see the Red Sox. I'll throw up. I'll be like, you really made me just watch the Yankees win the World Series. The Red Sox should be there right now with Mookie Betts and Bogarts, and they should have been in the AL. They couldn't beat the Guardians. They couldn't beat the Tigers. They couldn't beat these teams.
They should have, but
they
weren't.
Money.
Listen, we feel that way. I still think if the Yankees do end up winning, Henry's got to get off his fat ass and start spending some money because they have now taken over the whole piece. You don't want that.
If you just give us Mookie Betts for nothing, which is what it would have been, and we're paying him $30 million this year, we would have made the playoffs.
Right.
If you just add Mookie to our offense, we win 2-3 more games. Yep. Or if you go strictly based off Mookie's, like 8 WAR, he was hurt though. Say he doesn't get hurt. We make the playoffs, and you can't tell me we're not better than the Guardians with just Mookie Betts. Whatever.
Well, our bullpen sucked, and there's a lot of things to build on, and the baseball's turned into a bullpen game, and that's something I have on the list to talk about next week. So we're going to do predictions. We'll talk about the World Series. We'll really talk college football games that happen. There's a lot of good games coming up. I do want to emphasize, talk about Notre Dame Navy because they play each other all the time, and it's technically it's a big game, and now it's a real big game because the loser could be out of the tournament to begin with. I don't know if we'll talk about NFL. I'll skip it. There's a couple of things happening this week we'll talk about. Tomorrow's banner night for the Celtics. We have to go over that. I will be at Disney World with my wife and daughter, and Jack will be home watching the banner go up. And then there's also the WNBA Finals just happened yesterday, which was funny to watch.
You and Jimmy Butler at Disney World. We're hanging up a banner.
Yeah, I know. That's what, I'm going to Disney World the wrong time. The WNBA championship was last night. New York won. Now we got to listen to the Yankees.
That was awesome. Ian Escu, that was a fun ending. The refs, I don't know about that, but
that was a bad call.
I think it might have been a foul. I don't know. You can't overturn it. They called it on the floor, whatever.
Right.
Ian Escu going 1 for 19 is hilarious. That's one of the worst performances I've ever seen. Good on Breanna Stewart making the free throws at the end after missing a ton.
Yeah.
She missed a lot in big spots. She didn't pull a Grant Williams. She did make both, like Grant said.
I think one of the things that's funny is that they've been playing since, I think they started like in May, and then a lot of them played in the Olympics. So it's been it's a very compressed season.
How about
May to November. Caitlin Clark didn't get to play in the
World Series. Well, how about the rookies?
Her team wasn't good. The rookies were great, too.
But if you think about all the rookies...
They're all sitting on sidelines.
No, but I'm saying they played they started their college season practice in September.
Not all of them made the Olympics, so they had to
No, but I'm saying they never got a break with the season. They played a whole college season while the girls were out in off season.
I find that I think that they look like they were fatigued because the last 3 or 4 minutes of all the games I watched, they got a little bit sloppy, and I understand that it's a long season. They got sloppy. The other thing you and I talked about is the big difference is, there was a drive-by. I forget the woman. She had the white hair, colored her hair white. She drives the baseline, and that's a play where the NBA player dunks it, and she just doesn't have the hops to get up over the rim. So it's just an interesting piece of. We'll put the WNBA to bed for now. The other thing we do need to talk about as going forward is your boys from Man United. I'm not going to let you talk about it now because I got to go to a board meeting. But Man United had a big win, and it's good to see that they're starting to play better because we're going to go there.
It wasn't a big win. It was a win.
A win. Okay. A win. It was a win.
We're not getting ahead of ourselves.
So let's just give you a quick studio show again. This is the wide shot here, so you can see how everything is. We got to get the
shots.
And there's Jack. You're getting all pissy moaning. There's nobody sitting on our couch.
I would rather my light not be turned on. Like I said, I'd rather be darked out.
Okay, Jack would rather be darked out because he's ugly.
I'd rather be sitting at a desk.
Last words. Any last thing before we go home and get ready for next week, next Thursday.
You
all set?
Yeah, I said a lot.
Yeah, Jack was very bloviated today. I give him credit. So episode 54 is in the books. I'm Jim Boyle. That's Jack Boyle. He's got to learn to wave, but he doesn't know how to wave. So like I first said, for the Boyles, it all boils down to this. Episode 54 is a wrap, and we'll see you on down the road. It all boils down to this. Recorded at WCTV studios in our hometown of Wilmington, Massachusetts. We're always open to any ideas, critiques, topics, and guests. So if anyone out there in podcast world needs to get a hold of us, we can be reached via email at jboyle22@comcast.net. Along with Jack Boyle, I'm Jim Boyle. Make sure to tune in to the next edition of It All Boils Down to This.